Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. I never should have given in to curiosity about the dark web after seeing it mentioned in YouTube comments. I got the not-so-bright idea to look up an access tutorial. I managed to get in, but quickly saw things that will haunt me forever. And then my laptop got hacked and my IP address exposed when I stupidly went full screen. I'm just grateful I got out before anything worse happened. But I'll certainly never view the internet the same way again. It started late one weekend night when I was bored and aimlessly scrolling YouTube. I stumbled upon a video about urban legends and noticed several people in the comments mentioning visiting the dark web to see crazy stuff. Of course, this piqued my curiosity. I had to Google what it even was. What I read online made it sound creepy but intriguing. People said the dark web allowed access to the indexed underbelly of the internet where anything imaginable could be found, both legal and very illegal. Against my better judgment, I found myself wanting to experience it firsthand. A momentary lapse in reasoning. After more searching, I came across a YouTube tutorial that claimed to show how to easily access the dark web. The video walked through downloading some browser called Tor that would obscure your location and gave links to directories full of onion sites not found through normal search engines. Seemed easy enough for my tech skills. With a mix of excitement and nerves, I downloaded the Tor browser and clicked the first cryptic onion link from the video description. The page that loaded was pitch black with green text in a foreign language. Spooky for sure, but nothing crazy yet. I tried a few more links. That's when things took a dark turn. I clicked through the first few cryptic onion links from the video description, and it seemed like mostly text-based sites, nothing too crazy. But then I landed on one that made my heart drop. It showed people chained up in what looked like prison cells, many badly bruised and clearly being trafficked. In disturbed disbelief, I clicked back and tried a different link. This site displayed rows of photos of different body parts. Hands, feet, eyes, organs. Many bloody, with pricing listed beside. They were apparently for sale. I felt nauseous realizing this was real illegal trade in human body parts. My morbid curiosity drove me to try one more link before getting out of there. This last site that loaded in my Tor browser was the most horrifying of all. It was set up like security camera feeds showing different rooms where people were strapped to tables surrounded by lab equipment. They seemed to be prisoners having horrific experiments conducted on them against their will. I sat frozen in horror watching close-up shots of unwilling lab rats being injected, cut open, and subjected to agonizing procedures. Some were limp and unmoving, clearly deceased. Others screamed or writhed silently with no escape. The clinical brutality shook me to my core. This was the stuff of nightmares. In a moment of thoughtless shock, I clicked to full screen mode to get a closer look at one of the rooms. I felt completely sickened yet couldn't tear my eyes away. Just then, a glaring red pop-up flashed across the giant montage of suffering people, announcing that my IP address had been detected and hacked. Panic flooded my system. Suddenly, screenshots and photos of my own social media profiles began rapidly flashing on the screen, along with my home address displayed in large font. I realized I had made myself vulnerable to being tracked. The terror was instant and visceral. Hand shaking, I frantically slammed my laptop shut and jumped up from the desk where I had been sitting. My heart was pounding as the gruesome reality sank in that I had seen things meant only for the blackest corners of humanity. And now my identity could be compromised or traced as well. What had I done? I paced my apartment, waves of paranoia washing over me as I imagined all the ways my life could be ruined by my foolish curiosity. Police showing up at my door to question me, being added to criminal watch lists, hacker attacks draining my accounts. The possibilities swirling through my mind were endless and terrifying. Over the next few days, I was on edge, constantly wondering if my identity had been compromised. Every unusual email or phone call made me cringe. I kept imagining police showing up at my door to arrest me for what I had witnessed on the dark web, even though I quickly closed it. I couldn't eat or sleep well while waiting to see how bad the fallout would be from giving in to morbid fascination. Thankfully, After 2 stress-filled weeks, nothing strange ended up happening. My accounts and identity seemed secure, which was an enormous relief. I'd gotten lucky considering how careless I was being. Never again, I told myself. Curiosity is not worth that level of risk. But I'll never be able to unseen those horrifying images burned into my mind. Whenever I hear any mention of the dark web now, I feel tremors of anxiety. I learned the hard way that some dangers aren't worth exploring, especially when you have so much to lose. The dark web definitely lives up to its ominous reputation. Venturing there even briefly shakes you to the core once you've seen what lurks in its shadows. I'm sticking to the mainstream internet from now on. There are some places human eyes just aren't meant to go. In the end, I learned the hard way to leave some curiosities unprobed rather than giving in. Unlucky the dark web is one that I can choose to avoid after getting too close. That night, I accessed the dark web out of sheer boredom is one I'll regret forever. Just aimlessly clicking around looking for entertainment, I stumbled onto a site trafficking stolen identities. Never could I have fathomed seeing my own driver's license among their disturbing wares for sale. It still makes my blood run cold thinking back on it. It started as an ordinary, uneventful Saturday night alone in my dorm. My roommate was away and I had absolutely nothing pressing to do. I heard murmurings around campus lately about students accessing the secretive dark web via a browser called Tor to buy contraband like fake IDs and hacked Netflix logins. While it sounded sketchy, I'd be lying if I said it didn't also perk my curiosity. I had time to kill, and poor judgment clouded by sheer boredom can make people do foolish things. Against my better instincts, I decided to see if I could find instructions for accessing the encrypted Tor browser myself. After some searching online, I successfully located a guide to installing and configuring Tor on my laptop. As I clicked through the process, I felt a mix of nerves and thrilling excitement. I knew I was venturing somewhere potentially dangerous and illegal, but the lure of mystery outweighed the cautionary voice in my head warning me away. Once set up, the Tor browser overlaid a network that concealed my location and identity. With a racing part, I hesitantly clicked on a gateway link from the tutorial to enter the dark web. I genuinely had no idea what to expect. The first hidden site that loaded was a sprawling underground marketplace for buying and selling all sorts of fraudulent documents, hacked data, and other illegally obtained personal information. My eyes widened as I slowly scrolled through the sinister wares, morbidly fascinated such a place existed right under the surface of the everyday internet I knew. There were entire sections dedicated to fake IDs from every state, thousands of stolen credit card and social security numbers, hacked medical records, phone logs, nude photos obtained without consent. It was an identity thief and scammer's absolute drain trove of assets and vulnerable personal data. I felt amazed and deeply unsettled browsing through page after page, but I was disturbingly compelled to keep going, unable to look away from this massive black market hidden in plain sight. In the fake identification area alone, there were hundreds of apparently legitimate licenses, ID cards, and passports from states and countries around the world. I clicked through samples from numerous states, scrutinizing them closely. I was shocked by how utterly authentic they looked. Crisp holograms, convincingly official designs, DMV and government logos. These could very easily fool most people and businesses, I realized with an anxious knot in my stomach. I continued to slowly scroll through row after countless row of fraudulent IDs listed for sale, detachedly glancing at the random strangers' names, photos, and vital details. Disconcertingly, many of the people looked like they could be my schoolmates, neighbors, or coworkers. When I got around halfway down the listings for my own home state, I froze in disbelief. Staring back at me from the page was my very own face and name on a license being sold. I sat staring in panicked confusion, triple and quadruple checking the image, but there was absolutely no doubt. It was my real current driver's license. My name, photo, home address, license number, all perfectly replicated in meticulous detail. I examined every pixel closely, but could find no flaws proving it wasn't genuine. My mind spun as I struggled to comprehend how this could be possible. Had my identity somehow been hacked and compromised without my knowledge? Were there shadowy figures out there with access to my personal data? It felt like the ground giving way beneath my feet. I scrolled through the remaining pages for my state with growing unease, terrified I might find more of my information copied and on sale. But it appeared to just be the license, at least for now. However, I knew with access to that, criminals could easily manufacture countless other fake documents in my name and steal my identity. I sat reeling at this unthinkable violation, my sense of security shattered. I sat staring in confused panic, triple-checking, but there was absolutely no doubt. It was my current real driver's license. My name, photo, home address, license number, all replicated flawlessly. Had my identity been somehow hacked without my knowledge and sold? I sat there in tormented shock, realizing the terrifying implications. With access to my license info, identity thieves could easily open fraudulent accounts, make fake IDs, destroy my credit. My security had been totally compromised by unseen forces. In a daze, I shut my laptop and began anxiously pacing as reality stunk in. I imagined all the ways faceless cybercriminals could now exploit every aspect of my digital identity. False tax returns, loans in my name, cleaning out my financial accounts. Seeing that unnervingly real stolen license with my face had made the identity theft threat crushing and concrete. Over the next few days, I was on edge constantly as I checked all my accounts for anything amiss. I held my breath each time, expecting to see mysterious charges or passwords changed. I realized how effortlessly malicious hackers could hijack and decimate my online identity if I wasn't hypervigilant. To my enormous relief, nothing seemed to have actually been compromised yet outside of the license itself. But I knew I had glimpsed just how fragile and vulnerable our personal data trails are, floating somewhere in the digital shadows we never see. My sense of security was forever shaken. It all started a few weeks ago over winter break when I was up late alone one night with nothing to do. I'd heard rumors around campus lately about tech-savvy students accessing the secretive dark web through a browser called Tor. Of course, this piqued my curiosity. After some searching online, I downloaded Tor myself, though I wasn't entirely sure where to look once I actually gained access to the encrypted network. With both nerves and thrilling excitement, I started clicking randomly from gateway link to gateway link, not finding anything too alarming at first. A lot of the sites were just text pages filled with code and usernames, but eventually, through pure chance, I landed on a hidden forum that looked much more sinister. Users were openly posting about all manner of shady cyber activities, hacking computers, draining bank accounts, selling stolen data and IDs on the black market, even creepier, highly illegal things I won't mention. I knew I should have clicked away immediately, but something compelled me to linger, fascinated by this glimpse into the underbelly of the web. Against my better judgment, I created an anonymous account on the forum and introduced myself as a wide-eyed newbie who was eager to learn the dark web ropes. I posed as a curious outsider fascinated by this secret cyber community. Surprisingly, the experienced members seemed very excited to take me under their wing and show a newcomer the shadowy ropes. In hindsight, they were clearly grooming fresh meat, but at the time I felt flattered by how welcoming they were. Before long, my inbox was flooded with private messages from veteran users enthusiastically sending me links to hidden Waikus, black market sites, dangerous malware programs to practice on, and guides for covering my tracks online. One even claimed he could get me fake documents like licenses and passports if I wanted. Their generosity and openness astonished me given the illegal nature of it all. Like an idiot, I recklessly downloaded files and clicked links I never should have, too intrigued and seduced by the promise of absorbing all the forbidden knowledge this cyber underworld had to offer. The more they sent, the more I consumed, never pausing to consider any consequences. Being showered with so much insider information made me feel like I was part of some exclusive secret club. The veteran dark web users were so friendly and eager to mentor their new protege that I got totally carried away, diving deeper and deeper into everything they showed me. It gave me a dangerous thrill and sense of belonging. At the time, I convinced myself this was just a mostly harmless way to satisfy my growing fascination with the hidden internet. I assumed the anonymous screen names guiding me were merely excited to pass their skills on to the next generation. In my naivete, I never properly considered how potentially reckless and vulnerable my actions were making me. But after a couple weeks of dipping my toe ever deeper into more shadowy discussions and hidden corners of the web, very strange things started happening in my day-to-day digital life outside Tor. I'd noticed unauthorized login attempts to my social media accounts, getting added to bizarre mailing lists I'd never signed up for, a pervasive sense I was being watched from the shadows. Things would vanish from my phone camera roll that I knew I hadn't deleted. It was like I had kicked a hornet's nest, and now unseen forces were tracking me. I became convinced that my real identity had been compromised somehow through my careless dark web activities. I ran extensive security scans and went into total digital lockdown, but the creeping sense of strange eyes monitoring me from unseen places only intensified. I knew I had to completely cut all ties to that dangerous online realm immediately. Easier said than done, though. However, I had no idea just how bad things were about to get until a few mornings later. I opened my dorm room door to find an unmarked envelope had been slipped under it overnight. With trembling hands, I tore it open to find a typed note with a chillingly simple message. "We know exactly who you are now. We'll be watching you closely from here on out." Pure dread washed over me instantly. I had brought this on myself through my reckless curiosity, and now nameless, faceless strangers had my name, location, and who knows what else. The note also implied this wasn't just a prank or empty threat. I was now being actively monitored and stalked digitally, and maybe even physically by entities I could not identify or saw. Over the following weeks, I became a nervous, paranoid wreck. I jumped at every odd occurrence both online and in the real world, worried who might be lurking. I knew it was unlikely some underground cybercrime group would actually come after me in person. But the haunting knowledge that my identity and data were out there being tracked by hidden, powerful forces left me constantly peering out the window or over my shoulder, trusting no one. I hardly slept. In the end, nothing more directly sinister came from the eerie anonymous letter itself. No follow-up messages or concrete incidents I could definitively connect back to it. Eventually, the most debilitating immediate paranoia subsided, but a lingering vague unease remained, as did the skin-crawling sense of unseen eyes observing me from somewhere in the shadows. I had ventured somewhere naively that I was not prepared for, and then retreated quickly once the darkness began to reach back. But even briefly engaging with those forces was enough to leave a permanent chilling mark on me deep down. A grave reminder that if you tempt the shadows, it just might decide to tempt you back in ways you can neither anticipate nor control. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again so neatly. My foolish dark web dabbling served as a sobering lesson at a young age. Everything has a price, and compromising your real-world identity and safety, even indirectly, is never worth the fleeting thrill of flirting with unconstrained digital forces you do not understand. I'm immensely grateful things didn't escalate any further than they did, but the ripple effects still shaped me for years to come. Now I know better than to take such unnecessary risks dancing with the devil, real or digital, no matter how alluring. Curiosity kills more than just cats, especially online. Some stones are better left forever unturned. The night has prying eyes both within and beyond the machine. Once you glimpse the darkness staring back, it never fully leaves you. I won't make that mistake again. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.